Alright, here I am. Wow. I gotta turn this off. There we go. Turn my headphones down a bit. There we go. Okay. For some reason, Streamlabs chat feature has broken again, so that's cool. I was going to ask you guys what we were adding to the screen because I thought it was crafting table, but somebody said B-man, so now I'm confused. I have a crafting table all queued up, but I might have remembered wrong, so let me know. And I finally added Iris. Also, it's so funny. Every time I post that vote, I think, well, maybe people are sick of the Great Ace Attorney. And then, no. It consistently wins. It's funny. I mean, I like it, because, you know. Hi, Guilty. Hello, class. How are you doing? Oh, I hope my controller is charged. I guess it doesn't really matter. You can play the Great Ace Attorney with Joy-Cons, I bet. Wouldn't change too much. But, you know. You're sick of the Great Ace Attorney? Last week we didn't even do it, and you weren't even there. So, what the heck? It's your own fault. You left 1 minute before the starting soon vote? Dang. Well, okay, you know what? Am I having selective memory? I was a bit zoned into the infinite craft, so it's my bad. The dang Rampa craft one. Yeah, maybe I'm getting them confused because I did 3 of them, which I just realized I forgot to put up the apple juice one, but whatever, it's fine. All right, well, I'll just do the crafting table and Buck Bumble. We'll just cover our bases. Yeah, this is a good image of Buck Bumble, I think. Do you think they're gonna do a Buck Bumble reboot? I mean, they've done like Bubsy reboots and all this stuff. Surely a Buck Bumble reboot is on the way. Okay, we're gonna craft Buck Bumble. This is the Buck Bumble one. Oh, he's got like a little. His little gun is on the side. That's why. Oh, needs to be on top of the crafting table. There we go. We can craft Buck Bumble in the corner. Yeah. Blinks the time jumper. Yeah, you never know. You never know. Anyway, music is the dark side of Aether Paradise, or secret side of Aether Paradise. Feels like it should be dark side, but whatever. From Pokemon Sun and Moon. But let's move to the actual game. Buck Bumble. Hey Gio, if you want something to do while this stream is going on, you can try to make Buck Bumble an infinite craft. That'd be fun. It'd probably be really hard, but I bet you could do it. Okay. Like before, I'm going to be doing this like a video and taking little chat breaks to read chat, so sorry if I leave you to your own devices. Now this is supposed to be... Oh. I think I might have accidentally turned it off instead of turning it on. It's my bad. Buck Bumble recipe. Yes, I know what autosave is. It's crazy. Alright, continue. Here we go. I forgot I left it off on this perfect moment. Our 2 weeks long 5 minutes are over. Did we discuss enough? Do we understand what's going on? Your 5 minutes are over. We're out of time already? Yeah, a lot of time, okay. Well, I'm grateful to you for affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan? The rest is down to me? That's unfortunate. I need to be careful here. If I make the wrong move, the trial will end badly. My lord, the defense requests... Oh no. It's okay. We'll just save. Part of me thinks further cross-examination is the correct... Because we're still in the middle of one, aren't we? And now Sholmes is there, so we can talk to him. That feels like the right thing. But... Further cross-examination. Let's see. I can't remember, so... The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now. The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness. Rather, to continue with one of the existing witnesses. What? It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. I can't remember who said that. Oh. Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel. No, my lord.
So nobody can say anything, then? If Reno asked to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon...
The court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd. I would remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Oh, okay. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony, and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it.
A single chance to present evidence?
If, following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witness any further.
My lord. Yes, my lord.
A single statement and a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. I leave this in your capable hands.
What the hell? Mr. Sholmes!
Did he really have to flail on his way down? To stand so insouciantly, before the court in a state of such high fever, Either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling. I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, Counsel, are you fully prepared? Yes. One statement, one piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down, or Iris. And I won't waste this final chance the Susada-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Very well then. Under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. Okay. Just a little bit of we just do a little bit of save scumming, okay? Just a little bit. What? Oh, I should have pressed court record there. It's fine. What did Susato give us? It was the cat flap I'm at. Right, okay, I know what I have to do. When Windy Bank threw Nash over the counter, felt a sharp pain in my arm. Pursued the man, but he shot himself in the storeroom. Could see him through the peephole in the door, though. That's probably the one. Yeah. Oh, there's two. There's two about the peephole. But I think this is the one I want. No, okay, where is it? It's this one. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. I mean, it could technically just be both of them. What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Counsel? Okay, it worked. Phew.
Oh, it's my cat flapper mat, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of, and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves. Ah. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Why would there be one? Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. I beg your pardon? A peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windybank had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom door, I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside that locked room. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said so as such in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? Yes. How could you? What? Counsel, kindly say what you mean. All right, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through. What? No! This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was... Yes. It was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device.
Your assistant tampered with the crime scene whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions? This is a most serious act of vandalism.
For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Or, I guess it's, not got the hole it needs to.
Riddled with? Explain yourself, counsel.
The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door.
Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back.
However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies.
That was kind of a subdued reaction. Order, order, order. Is there any credence to this revelation?
Objection.
None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely recognize.
Exactly. This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me.
I'm afraid not, sir.
Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door?
Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors.
That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
What?
Mikey, cooey, time for dinner. Meow. Well?
Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make a cat flap in the oak paneling at the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom door at Windybanks was made by your machine. And there's no way you can prove that it was.
No, but it's easy.
What?
The cat flaps in my cat flapper mat creates are all a fixed size, and the dimensions of the peephole at Windybanks are an exact match.
Getting totally outsmarted by a child.
Hee hee, old Silky's lost for words.
Excellent work, Iris, thank you. And now it's my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. Oh? I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Island home, Eastern. Well, yes, that's true. Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all of the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the peephole has the dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer.
What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zykes?
It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device. But now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to that fact. There is no proof. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. What?
Okay. Indeed, that is so, Lord Van Zykes. Well, counsel?
Don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through.
I don't know if I can do this, but I know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world.
Okay.
Very well. I'll take that as evidence. Trial over. The counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole in the door at Windybank's storeroom was created after the event and not before.
Okay, well, it's going to be one of the pictures, probably. But just in case, we will save. Wait, I went right past them. There's a peephole in that picture. No peephole in this picture. Hey, there we go. It's funny how they can, like, hide that in plain sight. I was thinking about that when they were talking. And it's good.
What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again? My judicial assistant, Miss Susato Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof.
And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel.
This print, it shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background.
Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom. It's completely devoid of a peephole of any description.
Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in that door. In other words, please be true. Your testimony is a catalog of lies.
We're escalating.
I'm better now. Order, order, order! Catalog of lies? Oh, you should be a poet, counsel. I'm satisfied the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. I'm dead. The witness's testimony was entirely fallacious. Yes.
That's not the only thing we now know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. That woman tampered with the crime scene. But more importantly...
Good lord, there's more, Lord Van Sykes?
The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof of this man... that this man is the victim's killer.
It's not? Yes, that's right.
What?
I was there at the scene, it's true. And I was shot in the arm, it's true, but that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here.
Oh, please, no! I don't believe this! But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he's the culprit.
Still, he can't worm his way out of it now.
Iris?
You know what they say. There's no point locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted.
What?
Isn't that right, Runo?
I've never heard that in my life before.
As Hurley always says. Blah! And then he falls to the floor. One lie begets another. No, wait. That might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories.
Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense.
Make no sense. What do you mean by such a remark?
What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there's a fundamental inconsistency in your statements.
What?
This is a provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency.
He said he could see a thing he couldn't see. What are you talking about?
Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witnesses' statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about, namely...
Ooh, okay. I think it's probably the bloodstains on the coat, because that'll lead us into the Gilded Talk, right? Which is where this is going. But it could be the third gun. How did he know about the bloodstains? I mean, he did say bloodstains in his testimony. Okay, I'm going to go with bloodstains, and if that's not right, then... Okay, it was right. Phew.
The bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestrade's coat.
That's right. The victim's blood spattered all over her when she shot him.
But how could you possibly have known that?
Obviously, because I saw her do it through the people in the... Oh.
The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that's so revealing.
You're not making any sense.
You're not making any sense.
No, you.
No, you. Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door?
What? Well, obviously, Has the cat got your tongue, witness?
Very funny, Your Honor. The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred. And once I returned to the shop having failed to catch the two burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windybanks constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of pawned articles and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave the order to have officers working round the clock in shifts so we could get through it all.
And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door.
How on earth is that possible? Who would this be? It's probably... Oh no, it's Gregson.
Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zoix? Speak, Inspector. It's just that, I really ought to be getting back to the station now and putting my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you... Permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes. Well, bloody hell. I'm gonna be here for the next 5 hours. Of course, sir.
Mr. Graydon. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else.
Uh-oh. Gregson.
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications.
Yes. But the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And, in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be.
I can't believe Gregson's evil.
Who is the person in question, counsel? Who gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony?
Everybody's a... Oh my god. No, I didn't mean to do that. No, I meant to save. No. No. Well, I guess this is a good time for a break. Because I accidentally presented... Who did I even present? So I didn't have to go through that again. I want to see who I presented. Hold on. People. Oh, I presented Sato. No. Alright, let's see. Buck Bumble. TBOI. I don't know what that... I don't know what that stands for. The baller. Old investigator. I don't know. You have B. Nice. The Flapomat. We love the Flapomat. So true. B64 didn't work. It's true. Yeah. Mr. Skulkin. Yeah. How did people not notice the people was a giant fucking square and not question it? I don't know. Because, like, maybe this guy just... He liked giant squares. Honestly... When you're investigating a crime scene, I suppose the peephole in the door being a weird shape would be the last thing you'd be thinking about. I didn't make Buck Bumble. That's why I challenged you to make Buck Bumble. You can get to Nintendo, though, if you get Japan and then Gamer. And then you could probably make Nintendo 64 with Nintendo and 64. Maybe. That's a way to get there. Murderer. Cool. My favorite character, too. Nominative determinism. Oh, as in, like, your name determines what you do? Yeah. Pawn croakers. Oh, no. Pawn brokers. Nice. Abscond brokers. What the heck? Yeah, haha, I lied, he says, under oath, about lying under oath. A Buck Fumble. Oh, no. Oh, he has the Wii. Pawn hoaxers, pawn chokers, very cool. You made 666, crazy. Pawn smokers. How late are you? I guess it has been half an hour. Wow, crazy. Pawn wokers. So true. Who's someone named Ron? What? I don't know. Your friend named Ron? Alright, I gotta get through this. I will continue to read chat as we go. Super Mario in 64? You could probably get Mario 64 that way. Don't know if that'll help you, though. A Ron Broker's shop. I don't know. Okay, we're back. We are so back. I mean, it's got to be Gregson, but who knows? Oh, T-Boy is Binding of Isaac. I get you, The Binding of Isaac. Usually the acronyms don't include the in the title, but I guess the in The Binding of Isaac is a little more important than some others. What have you done, Gregson?
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson.
Me?
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learned of it only during the course of the trial today.
Indeed. Preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communications station.
And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea. No inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court.
Are you suggesting that until such a time he was summoned?
Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was on the stand that he realized his position. That he would have to defend himself against the accusation he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress he received this information? So that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin? Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson.
This is a bloomin' outrage! Why would I be giving away details of our investigations of this fella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Have you forgotten about that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery.
Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand. Such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred, except when they literally did.
Oh, I've just remembered something, Runo.
What is it, Iris?
There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying.
Oh yeah, now that you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilded's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it! It was during that testimony. I remember finding it strange at the time, even pointing it out a little. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then.
You little toe rag! You making all this up? I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke?
Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense.
What deal, Counsel?
I wonder if perhaps, in exchange for details about the peephole at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector.
No. I'm sure we need not remind the inspector that, if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with this witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance. Well, I...
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is the Nipponese student's speciality. I don't do that. But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence to support of this diabolical claim. Evidence? You know what that is, right? Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it.
Bruno, do you think it could be...
Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle.
The second music box disc.
I must ask you for an answer now, counsel, or press you for one. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal between Inspector Gregson that Inspector Gregson made with the witness?
Pretty elegant to have the solution be revealed to you in the recounting of it. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, that music box we needed. Remember that, guys? Music box disc. I don't think we have a second music box disc, right? Oh, wait. I think it's gotta be this one, right? Because it needs a second disc, surely. I mean, it might just be you have to present the music box disc, but I don't know. Good thing I saved. Okay, we're good.
Inspector Gregson! Besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case?
What? What are you getting at now, Sunshine?
Is it possible that this other top-secret case is what's alluded to in the newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice.
How the bleeding Nora could ya?
We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windybanks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for details on this case.
You... Order.
On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windybanks, you said this.
I'll be taking that whatever it is at McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over.
No, don't. Don't give it to him. It's mine, that is, mine.
Sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now.
Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets.
My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness to aid and abet this man in giving false testimony?
There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known of the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these two men.
No.
I don't know.
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom.
Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that?
Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective.
What?
What's that supposed to mean, eh?
As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand.
Good gracious! Then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person.
Yes! It's under his hat! The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once.
Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before. And Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand since.
My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately.
Well, Inspector...
Oh, you don't have to go through that effort. I ate it. This young lady wants to tone down his imagination, or young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He insulted me in my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search. What? He's going to agree to it? I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service, and this trial will end. And my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded. That sounds serious.
Oh, yes, it is indeed. To have a visiting student make such defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook.
You're just threatening me now because you're scared.
No, this accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here.
Very well, Counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time.
Yes, my lord.
Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects?
Okay. I think I know what's happened. Ashley showed him the disc, right? And Gregson knew that he couldn't take it right now. So it was insurance for Ashley to actually have him be able to get off on this charge. And so Ashley kept the disc and was going to give it to him after the trial, essentially. That is my guess. So I'm going to say search somebody else, and I'm going to pick Ashley Graydon. Although it would be very funny if Gregson stowed it off to the the Skulkin brothers.
Yes, the defense formally demands the search be conducted.
Well?
Don't say you weren't warned, but your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I got nothing to hide.
Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's personal effects.
The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector, not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, sunshine? The court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational.
Who's saying be quiet?
Be quiet, all of you.
I bet you it's Iris. Yeah, okay. That's how the Ace Attorney formula goes.
Reno's doing what you all told him to and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, I wasn't aware of that.
Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction, and eagerly awaits his next words.
You what? Don't be hasty, my lord.
If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has that disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be.
Counsel, of whom do you request this search now?
I mean, it's gotta be Graydon, right? There's no way they just randomly pull the Skulkin brothers in, and he was on the stand the whole time. It'd be crazy if it was somehow Gina, because that's technically a possibility, I guess. But,
Mr. Ashley Graydon, my lord. The defense demands that he be searched at once.
Very well. I presume you will not persist, Mr. Graydon.
No, I'm jamming. Au contraire. Oh, he's got to protest? Great. So a brief body search was carried out by the court bailiff. A few short minutes later, it was revealed that Mr. Graydon had nothing unusual in his person at all. No! No. Alright, maybe it's Gina then. Oh my god, she pickpocketed him. Is that what it's gonna be? she wanted it so bad. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, if this is it, then I'm actually gonna pat myself on the back a bit for thinking about this. No? No? Is it really the... There's no way it's the Skulkin brothers. Am I just on the wrong train entirely? I can't believe it. I thought for sure that was going to be it. Because that's like the mind-twisty thing that this Ace Attorney thing would pull. But no. Okay. Okay. They were talking while Gina was there. We were talking to her. If it's not Ashley, and it's not Gina, were the Skulkin brothers even on the stand at that point? I mean, I don't know. I gotta try it. Of my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Okay.
Well, I never.
I blimey. Me? In?
Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects.
Oh, you don't have to restrain. Please, my lord.
This is the correct answer? Oh my god. I like the Gina answer better.
Inspector?
Scotland Yard has to object to this search. Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But Lord Van Sykes... I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Ugh.
Bailiff, carry out the search.
Oh, blimey. Now, hold on a mo. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Cut it out.
Okay.
Ah. Here, my lord, in the witness's pocket, I found this.
Good lord, that's...
Another music box disc. I don't know nothing about it. Nothing. And there we have it. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. It is not Is it not Inspector Gregson? I was gonna say, yeah, nope, the disc is not Inspector Gregson.
Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself?
Gordon Bennett. Just Gordon Fleming Bennett. I swear I did nothing about that disc. Honest to God.
Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck was between this witness and this detective, no?
Without question, my lord.
Then, for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc the inspector traded for that information?
Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment.
Oh, right. I forgot about this.
I don't recall. What unusual behavior?
Oh,
He literally... Did he plant the disc on him? That's crazy.
it was... Yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon.
Which one?
Oh, you know. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket?
I admit to nothing of the sort.
Well, Mr. Graydon answered my questions. The inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently. Yeah, he did it and all. Thought me noggin was gonna fall clean off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother, I was. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just turned and grabbed me whistle like that, started shaking me. Why in blazes did you mention the third gun when we got you down on the station? That's what he said. Yelled it right down my ear, all he did. My head's still throbbing now. The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc.
Well, bless my wig. He hid it?
You.
But I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence.
It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that.
Why ever not?
As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush.
Hush-hush. A top-secret assignment, is it?
As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential governmental communications. It would seem that if that information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. You would be counseled, Your Honor.
Oh my.
Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there is a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness.
Ah, does that mean...
He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him to slip the second disc into his pocket.
So it was all a pretense? Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, Are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you in this alleged deal?
No.
Admit to it, yours truly, please.
Mr. Graydon.
Clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination.
He just pokes Gregson in the eye.
However, there's no proof I passed that disc to the inspector.
But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole?
I'm under no obligation to explain.
What?
Yes, I lied in my testimony, that I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder? Leaking government secrets? Striking a deal with this detective? All of it is a young Eastern man's fantasy. I have no idea what any of this is about.
You... what?
How? How?
Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc?
Why would I do that? Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I'm acting in the best interests of this country. Whatever I've done has been in the name of justice. So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions. Okay, but does that mean we must free criminal? This is quite a quandary indeed. That should be illegal, no? Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well now, as a fellow servant of the Queen and country, I must say I sympathise with the old inspector.
Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character.
Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred up to me.
Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really.
Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idol. Stop.
Oh no.
Detective has very much trust in eyes. More than this I cannot say.
I don't believe it. These 6 jurors are... they're going to believe Gregson. If they declare their decision now...
Is Ginny going to be found guilty?
If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then we're going to lose. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windybank or stole those government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting he struck a deal with the witness.
Well then, counsel, I think it's time I impose on the jurors to declare their final decisions, no? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court.
If I let the judge call the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina will be found guilty.
So there's no choice then, Reno. You have to throw some more evidence at them.
This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against, Gregson or Graydon?
Oh, God. Okay, I have a feeling Graydon will never admit it, obviously, right? So it's gotta be Gregson. And we haven't used the Hound of the Baskervilles yet. And Sholmes wanted to hide it for some reason, right? Which makes me think that there's some truth revealed in here that is, like, bad for the government or something. Or bad for someone in particular. It's the only piece of evidence we haven't used yet. Other than, I guess, the wristband, but you know. Or armband, my bad. I think it could work.
Inspector Gregson, there is one final piece of evidence I would like you to see.
Aye? What's that then?
If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly.
Well, go on.
This is my last chance. It looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. One final piece of evidence to get this detective to admit to the deal he's clearly struck with Graydon.
Okay, now it makes me think that that's the disc. But I don't know. I'm going to make a separate save here so I can try a couple things. This is very obscure, in my personal opinion. Sorry, I just looked at chat. An 8-year-old's book is bad for the government? I mean, it details one of Sholmes' cases, so there's a chance it could be bad. And we've stressed through the entire game that Gregson is very concerned about how he appears in these books. So I'm going to try it, but I'm guessing it's probably something to do with the discs at this point.
What on earth is this, Counsel?
Irrefutable proof, my lord, of the corrupt dealings that went on between these two men. Or perhaps irrefutable proof of the corrupt workings of my learned friend's mind.
Okay.
Really, Counsel? At this stage in the proceedings, I would have expected a more considered argument.
Hey, I considered it. Oh. All right.
Is that Mr. McGilded's peculiar music box, Counsel?
Yes, with the disc already in place ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we've just discovered set in place as well.
Goodness, this disc, Counsel. No, wait! I can't let you do that!
Why not?
But, because it's got nothing to do with this case, that's why.
Not sure, Inspector.
Eh?
The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the court earlier from this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that Morse code comprises of 2 distinct tones. The defense believes the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message, and now we have a chance to confirm that theory.
For crying out loud, Sunshine, we're talking about state secrets here. If you go letting the whole courtroom hear confidential information like that, it's treason.
Then do you admit to the charge that in order to protect those state secrets, you engaged in unlawful dealings with the witness?
You're mad. If you let that secret information out into the public domain, you'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot.
Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness. That you continue to lie to the court, and all because, by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair or foul, I'm prepared to do mine.
Don't you dare.
I will stop at nothing to protect my client. I don't care who I make an enemy of. I'm crazy.
Yes, well, we all knew that.
My lord, if you please. The court must hear the sounds made by that music box.
Come on, Van Zoyks. For Pete's sake, stop him.
No.
Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I am a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. In this courtroom it is my duty to the law, so let me propose a toast to uncovering the truth, by fair means or foul. Very well. The defense's stance here is that of the prosecution have been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will now listen as this music box is set in operation once more.
Here we go. This is cool staging. I like it.
This time with the second disc in place and both discs playing simultaneously.
Oh, listen to that.
It's unmistakable now.
It's Morse code.
All right, I admit it, whatever you want, but for the love of God, shut that bloomin' box up!
I wonder if anybody's decoded that. Probably, right? This does rule, it's true.
Let me ask you again, Inspector Graydon.
Inspector Gregson.
Did you or did you not strike a deal with the witness next to you on the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon?
Specifically, did you furnish the witness with confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the peephole in the pawnbroker's storeroom door, Inspector?
I did.
Stop! What are you doing, man?
It's all exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said. When the trial resumed after the recess, and we were stood here in the stand together, that's when he approached me with the deal.
Shut up, you imbecile!
Shut up! Psst, you there. You're the detective who turned up at the
You're the detective who turned up at the pawnbroker the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So, how about a trade? I suggest you accept. Or information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed.
I couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances. So I accepted the man's proposal and told him details of the case that should have put him in the clear. The peephole in the storeroom door and the bloodstains on the overcoat. By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury. I did. But then it turned out the peephole had only been made that night after the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest. Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction on a very serious crime. Namely this. You are the third intruder who broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Windybank.
You...
Traitor!
Oh my god. Greg, somebody stop this man. He's gonna kill Inspector Gregson on the stand. a fry flies out.
Bailiff! Bailiff! Restrain that man! At once!
Holy crap. We nearly witnessed a man die on the stand.
That's it then. It's all over.
Oh god.
I despise my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying, to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole. And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination.
But then you decided to try to sell government secrets? Why?
Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me up in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Then, one day, I met him. Mr. Magnus McGilded.
I can give you money for the cost of your soul. You're a fiend with a queer talent, so you are. I've money to throw your way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me a little plan now.
I was to steal the Ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilded would buy them for a handsome sum. Not slum. As I was responsible for inspections in the Ministry's communications office, it was a simple enough task.
The lure of the devil's offerings. How easy it is to succumb.
But you must surely have realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing.
And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable. By using the music box.
My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child.
Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton.
That's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He'd once been a music box maker's apprentice. I imagined his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that could generate Morse code. So I sought out my father again, to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I left the slums 10 years earlier. And then he got murdered.
Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you become, eh?
He was a different man than the one in my memory. A thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason. So I made up a story. I've got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made.
Music box discs, eh?
A musician friend of mine has written some music he wants to sell off to the public. I've brought the score with me. There are 2, actually.
I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would ya? They're right in the loft.
That's how I had him make the 2 discs.
Thereby splitting the information in 2. You are taking considerable precautions indeed.
Whoops. That was Discord. It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in 2 separate transactions. The first involved the first of the 2 discs and the music box for playing them. I exchanged them with McGilded for 10 guineas. Then, on receipt of the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas.
So, what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of the deal, the exchange for the second disc.
Yes, I'd sold the man information that way a number of times already, but it seems he became reluctant to part with his money. But that doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Graydon, for why was it that on that omnibus 2 months ago, your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with McGilded and not yourself? When I received the 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with McGilded, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. But my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious, and when he did, he said to me,
"Next time there's an exchange, you'll let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore."
That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded. That's it. He had no idea what was actually on the discs I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home, It was only then that I found out what sort of monster McGilded really was. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore on my father's name. To exact revenge.
Revenge?
As anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilded brought all his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and witnesses were bribed. That trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish.
My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of the sinister background to it all.
I've made plenty of money out of my dealings with McGilded by then, so I spared nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago. I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in the city willing to do anything you ask. McGilded himself had shown me that.
Are you saying that?
I think you have the picture now. After he twisted everything to his favor in the courtroom to ensure that he walked free, I took matters into my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. By burning him alive. Was pretty cool, right? That tragic accident following the trial here 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly.
McGilded's death that day was caused by this man?
Everything is ready, sir, if you'd like to follow me into the courtroom.
What's this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I was led to believe.
I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule.
Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. So that policeman who came to tell McGilded he could examine the omnibus again.
That's right. An impostor hired by me. It was Sholmes. McGilded used his wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and sent him on a one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death. Well, now you're double guilty, sir. A spine-chilling account, indeed. But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see.
A loose end?
Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGilded. Ah, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago. Clearly because it had been removed from the scene of the crime. When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with McGilded. This scene, but a little different, that's cool. This is the first of the 2 discs, and the music box you need to play them.
Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for you, young man.
What's this? Windybank's pawnbroker, eh?
Aye, 'tis a pawnbroker's ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem an article I've deposited there for ye. There's no need to give a name. Just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend to watchword. I put a jewel in pawn for ye. It'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will.
I've never heard of a pawnbroker being used quite that way before.
Have ye not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are a very useful place, you know. Each one is like an extremely secure vault.
So I knew that, if he'd taken steps to hide the disc, it would be in that pawnbrokery somewhere. And on that night he killed my father. He must have entrusted the ticket to someone.
Yes, to Gina. I remember now that when we first met you at Windybanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. How did you know that who you were looking for?
From the trial, that pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilded's pawns, that he must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket, so I started to make some enquiries. I had a strong suspicion the girl would come out of the woodwork on the redemption deadline.
And he was absolutely right.
And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was wait until the girl went to Windybanks to redeem the article. But unfortunately she redeemed only McGilded's overcoat and the one disc that was in its pocket. The all-important music box with the second disc inside was missing. Because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion.
Meanwhile, our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing. We picked up on the fact that McGilded was involved.
Inspector, you've recovered fast.
My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible. So we started gathering the fellas' possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on at the yard, but we had to keep it as quiet as we could.
Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure that the music box and the second disc was still there in the shop somewhere. So I knew that it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did.
So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers.
What happened that night in the pawnbrokery? I can only describe as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I'd located the music box I'd sold to McGilded on the shelves of forfeited articles.
And the second disc was inside.
Yes, I slipped it into my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened.
What are you doing in my shop? Bang!
A gunshot rang out of the shop, and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm.
The broker fired his gun, and the bullet pierced your limb.
Yes, exactly. But unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. Before I knew what was happening, I'd fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck him in the middle of his back as he fled through the storeroom door for refuge.
A sorry, sorry tale.
It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo even realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And that's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Windybanks on that wretched night.
Well, I think we can close this trial out finally, right? Right, everyone? Please? Please tell me we can close this trial.
Earlier, you called McGilded a monster. A man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crime of murder. What tragic irony. For what you have done is exactly the same. You have become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded.
Yes, I think I have.
Okay.
Sit up in my chair.
Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial.
You're telling me, Judge. Took like a month.
However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon?
Well, he's been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Windybank and the stealing of government secrets.
Very good. And you, Inspector? Regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself.
Oh, it seems everybody in this damn room is facing charges today, sir. Yes, my lord, of course. It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. The fact remains whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable.
Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Yeah, I've been here this whole time, definitely.
It is time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman?
Yes, sir. Garrideb Squadron standing by, sir. This is really it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Duh.
Can you imagine if one of them just still said guilty for no reason?
Haha, that's the stuff. I'm off the hook. Finally, Runo, you finally managed to do it.
Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on top for a while there.
Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world.
Miss Lestrade, I am not finished with you yet.
Eh? What? What are you looking at me like that for?
Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider,
Eh?
2 months ago, in my courtroom no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Windybank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGilded's property, it seems.
Eh? I never done nothing of the sort.
Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGilded's coat in your cell yesterday or anything.
Oh, and just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Ginny this evening.
And turning our attention to the defense, determining that, when played together, the music box disc contained a message in Morse code was, well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, counsel.
Thanks? I thought you were going to tell me about getting a criminal off the hook. Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast to demanding that government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom. Very sorry about that. It was the only way I could get Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so...
Who is this going to be?
If I may say something on that point.
If I may say something on that point.
Isn't that...
I'm sure... Okay.
It's, about the sounds produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all.
What? What are you saying, madame?
Oh, well, it is just that I am really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much so that the whole world would seem to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact.
Goodness, madame. An unhealthy level of obsession, it feels. Also, maybe you should get your glasses checked.
But I must say, in my opinion, that sounds produced by those two discs were nothing more than that, a meaningless series of two different tones.
What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all?
Oh my god. Mason fucked it up.
My lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again.
Are you off your nut? How many times do I have to tell you those discs contain ministerial secrets, Sunshine?
This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of government communications. We know McGilded conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies, secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue the matter further. Ugh, but it's really going to bother me.
Miss Lestrade,
Yeah, my lord.
that which you have seen here today in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing.
Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalogue of depravity.
An appalling experience to befall any child.
Come on, it ain't nothing I don't see most days in the back slums.
I beg your pardon?
If you were weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes.
Gina,
But look, I reckon I worked something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you want it to change, you gotta start at home. You gotta change how you are yourself.
Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never gracing my courtroom with her presence.
Hey, me too, eh?
Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Windybank, proprietor of a pawnbrokery business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, not guilty.
Not me. Woohoo! Are they gonna try to charge Susato?
I swear, Miss Lestrade, put that gun down!
She accidentally hits somebody with it and they die. Well, looks like we're in for another trial. Ugh.
That is all. Court is adjourned.
Except for us, apparently. Oh, he put on his coat, though. He's a vampire again.
on a personal note, I must say you've surprised me, my far eastern friend.
I was not expecting that. It's different.
Oh. Despite being a Nipponese, you saw through the pretense of the malice that festered within that Englishman.
Okay.
At the same time, saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures. I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether we're from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan, we're all human beings. We're not so different on the inside. But my racism. You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again here in the courtroom. You did? When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with another Nipponese, only to find my trust betrayed. Through you, I hope to look into the eyes of the man I once knew, and try to understand. I don't know what to say about that. You mentioned something similar earlier today, about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly? That's for the sequel. Well, you may ask, and on one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not. All right, then I'll wait for that day if I must. Now to spill wine all over my face, coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey, and my retirement from service 5 years ago. It gives me cause to wonder, if our meeting has some deeper purpose. So, farewell, my learned Nipponese fellow, until we meet again. Okay. Can I go home now? Yes. Well, we did it. It's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappeared to?
She took my prison sentence for me.
Congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent.
Well, you did what you said, Mr. Naruto. You believed in me right up to the end. You're as odd as your name.
What's odd about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I?
No one ever has before, see? Kept their promise, I mean, properly.
That's awful.
I figured something out today. All my life growing up in the slums, I never trusted no one. But that's just 'cause I've been scared of being stabbed in the back. I mean, the more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down.
Yes, I think I can understand that. After all, I had a taste of it in that trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust someone and paid for it. That betrayal left a big scar. You know, though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently, too. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. And when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do, and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me of that valuable lesson.
Oh, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat load of sense to me, though.
I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure.
For crying out loud, pack it in! But I suppose I sort of feel the same way. A little less mushy on it, but, you know. I mean, sometimes trusting someone else is, you know, alright.
Thanks. This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean. Kazuma, am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could be? I'm a figment of your imagination, Ryunosuke. Pardon the interruption. I don't know who that's going to be. Sholmes? It's okay. Okay. But what the deuce does a man have to do to be noticed around here, my dear fellow? That voice! It's too late for that voice now, Mr. Naruhodo. I've been standing here patiently in the corner of this room for eternity. Yes, it was me all along. I would have said when you finally noticed me. I'm still impersonating a police officer. But you people with your incessant babbling.
Ach, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, yes, it was me all along, you see? Jeez. Sholmes jump scare. So true. I'd assumed you'd been taken back to the hospital, to be honest. Indeed I was, but I managed to escape again. Oh. I happen to be aware of one or two foibles of the doctor who was tending to me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with a leave of absence. How very above board. But enough of my adventures. That was a fine victory, Mr. Naruhodo. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat to you. Oh, thank you. Humph.
Some great detective you are. Great at being cold as ice, maybe.
Have I irked you in some way, Miss Lestrade?
Well, you've been having a snooze in your nice soft bed. Some of us have been fighting for our lives.
Ah, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, it's true. So I have indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps as cold as ice, but, well, have a feel.
Could you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Sholmes?
I'm sorry. Force of habit. And in some way, I suppose, congratulations are in order for you too, Miss Lestrade.
What's that supposed to mean? Why so half-hearted?
Well, naturally, it isn't my intention to alarm you, but an acquittal in a trial with that particular prosecutor is perhaps a little precarious.
Well done, Mr. Sholmes. Not alarming in the slightest.
Oh, the Reaper, you mean? 'Cause anyone who's found not guilty in a trial he was working with winds up dead anyway, is that it?
The very point I was trying to make. As exemplified by the fate of Mr. McGill in fact. Ah, but of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself.
Yeah, well, it don't bother me.
Oh, really?
Course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like him upstairs.
What, God?
Him upstairs? You mean like God?
Yeah, him upstairs knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. He won't have got the wrong end of the stick. There's some coves like me that bog trotter would have rotten to the core. At the end of the day, him upstairs makes sure they get what they deserve.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing, though. The Reaper taking matters in his own hands and claiming lives is another.
Well, it ain't like
McGilded's. Okay, for some reason I almost read that as McGildles.
Well, it ain't like McGilded's of this world, so I ain't scared. I got principles, see?
A trait in you which is to be admired, Miss Lestrade. Now let's go put you in a safe box so you don't get hurt.
Oh, give it a rest, all right.
As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal was very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina.
Well, there you are. Holy, how long have you been here? Honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there.
Iris, my dear, I do apologize. But wait until I tell you what happened. This pair made utter fools of themselves.
What happened?
As you know, I have a penchant for disguise. I was hiding in this room dressed as a bailiff. And these dolts didn't notice my presence at all. They had no idea. Can you imagine, Iris? Would you credit it?
I'm not sure, really.
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, Early, but you just don't have the weighty presence you seem to think you have. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's going to land you in trouble one day.
I'll be careful.
Ouch.
Anyway, it's such a shame. I was so hoping to throw a party for Ginny tonight. But you won't be able to come, will you? Don't look like I'm going to be going nowhere for a while. You heard the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offences. What was it again? Breaking and entering, taking the bog trotter stuff with what was in log, blah blah blah.
Yes, I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket's the main offense.
But diving ain't an offence, it's a job, innit?
I don't think so.
Still, it has got me thinking all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did you, Odo?
Odo? Well, no, but I was never a pickpocket.
Well, anyway, I reckon I can make a change. I'm going to do something for them lot like me from the slums. Something that makes a difference for them. That is a wonderful idea, Ginny. I'm sure you can do it. What is it? Nothing.
I knew it. I knew it.
Miss Gina Lestrade.
I don't know, who could this be?
The prison carriage has arrived, ma'am. Please come with me to the rear gate at once.
Right. Well, looks like I'm off then.
Yes. Goodbye, Gina, and good luck.
Odo.
Yes?
I gotta use this lengthy animation we paid for one more time.
Ah! What was that for?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, so...
So you'd shoot the man. A woman after my own heart. Ah, indeed.
Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Miss Lestrade.
Eh?
On occasions such as this, I would recommend a simple thank you.
Oh. Oh, yes. It's a good advice, Ginny. Right. I see. Well... Thanks, Odo. Thank you for everything, what you've done, for believing in me.
Not at all. In fact, that should be my line. Thank you, Gina.
The classic Ace Attorney tough character cries at the end. They know how to get you.
Well, there she goes. I wonder if I'll ever see her again.
Well, I think I'll pay her bail so she can come to Aris's party tonight. What do you think? Well, well, quite the indomitable pick purse.
Oh, I nearly forgot. I bought a paper outside. It's a special edition, and this trial is all over the front page.
Japanese lawyer leaks government secrets.
Pickpockets, innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful?
You should have shown it to Gina, Iris. She would have been thrilled.
Oh no, how silly of me. Ah, but anyway, would you like the good news or the bad news?
Not again.
Well, what do you say, Renaud? Early?
As usual, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first.
Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news.
And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it?
Let's not go there.
All right then, let's start with the good news this time. The rain has finally stopped. It was a record level of rainfall, apparently.
Surely not the cause of any of our industrial revolution. Well, that's good news indeed. We can journey back in greater comfort.
All right then, what's the bad news?
The huge storm has left the seas very choppy. The channel in particular is awful, so sailings out of the Dover have been delayed by a day or more.
Wait, Dover?
That's right. If we head back to the station immediately, we may still make it in time to wave Susie off.
But, there won't be a train, surely. We couldn't be that lucky.
Oh, Naruhodo. Who do you think I am, Mr. Naruhodo?
Mr. Sholmes?
I'd rushed to Victoria Station earlier and made arrangements for a special express. If we hurry now, we shall be there in time for dinner. And I know of a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole.
The great detective does it again.
Indeed, he does. I happen to be aware of a number of rail transport directors' foibles.
What?
I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily laid on the locomotive elementary.
Just an idea, but it might be wise to stop manipulating people that way.
What are we waiting for, then? To London, Victoria.
Sholmes just blackmailing everybody. Ooh, we get a whole new scene for this. That's crazy. Port of Dover, quayside. It took somewhat longer than I had anticipated.
Susie's boat must be about to leave now.
Mrs. Sato, where are you? Okay, she's just standing on the pier. Over there, look! It looks like she's reading something. Don't throw the book in the ocean. Mrs. Sato, wait! What are you doing? Uh-oh.
Mr. Naruhodo, what are you doing here?
We came as soon as we could after the trial. I mean, we heard that sailings were being delayed due to the bad weather, you see?
Oh, I see. Then tell me, how did Gina's trial go?
It went well. She was acquitted.
That's wonderful. Really wonderful news.
The book you were about to throw into the sea. Was that your Encyclopedia of British Law?
Oh dear, I was hoping you hadn't seen that. I'm not worthy of practicing law in any way now. So, I was saying my final farewell.
You were saying goodbye to law? You? Susato-san? Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the peephole, Miss Susato?
I deliberately altered the scene of a crime, and then I tried to hide that fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable. That reminds me. How did you even come to have this, Susie? On the evening of the incident, Mr. Sholmes had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember. Oh yes, we had a wonderful time. Well, Gina gave us a little introductory lesson, didn't she? On the art of pickpocketing, I mean. Oh, that was so much fun! I stole Runo's armband.
Yes, please don't do that again, Iris. That band's very important to me.
Well, if it's so important, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't notice for ages. On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cap flop-o-mat, so I put it up my sleeve.
How big is this thing? It seems like it'd be way too big. Although I guess she's got big sleeves in that kimono.
Really? And then I rather forgot about it, until I found myself in Mr. Windybank's shop later that night.
I see.
And then...
Bang.
Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes!
Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo. Right.
After Mr. Naruhodo had left the shop, I started to think. That door started to play on my mind.
The storeroom door, you mean?
Yes. If Gina was anywhere in the shop, I realized it could only be behind that door. And at that moment, the little device I had up my sleeve sprang to mind. I was so worried about Gina, I simply had to know.
So you used the cat flap-o-mat to make the peephole in the door.
As captured in a photographic print of the shop. By one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
Indeed, it was of the first importance, that point. Precisely when the peephole was made, that information would prove to be Mr. Naruhodo's greatest weapon. Though naturally, without proof, it would have amounted to nothing.
But when I looked through the hole in the door, the sight that met my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remembered that trial 2 months earlier. The trial of Magnus McGilded. I thought about how he had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then a terrible thought occurred to me. What if What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because from the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Windybank. Even though I was sure she would never have done such a thing.
You were worried that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime.
That's right. But then I realized it would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case.
What do you mean?
Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to claim falsely to have witnessed it, there would have to be a way to see beyond the door.
Ah.
For which a peephole would be the very thing.
Only the peephole I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime had been committed, of course. And the criminal would know that, so it wouldn't make any difference.
But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, was it not?
A trap? Is that why she did it?
So, is that why you kept it a secret, Susie? You never mentioned that you made the peephole to anyone, not even to the police. I know, and I knew at the time what I was doing was wrong, a criminal offense even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. If Mr. Narhoda was completely backed into a corner, with no other possible means of escape, the truth about the peephole could save him. That was my plan.
She really does think of everything. But then, why didn't you just tell me everything before the trial began?
My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. What a surprise. If she had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the whole escapade. I don't remember. Escapade? Probably. You could have been disbarred if you'd been seen to have knowingly tampered with a crime scene. So Mrs. Otto decided to shoulder the burden of responsibility alone. For your sake and Miss Lestrade's.
Mrs. Otto.
The truth is, when it happened, I did it because I'd lost a little of my faith in the law.
Oh.
I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime. But the moment I allowed myself to think that is the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant.
Okay.
What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Graydon is the one who lied on the witness stand, using the peephole as a way to implicate Gina.
He did?
And besides, if the peephole inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure she would have been acquitted in the end. Mrs. Sato, what you did saved Gina's life.
Well, with your kind words, Mr. Narhodo, you've saved me too, from regrets.
Well, we must all be thankful that Miss Lestrade's freedom has been assured.
Yes, exactly. Although some of the loose ends in that trial will continue to play on my mind, I'm sure.
But the revelation that the music box disc contains secret messages, Mr. Narhodo. What a triumph to work that out! I'm full of admiration.
Well, actually, that argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was.
Oh? It wasn't?
There was a communications officer among the jury members, you see, a telegraph operator, and she said that the majority of the sounds on the disc were just meaningless tones.
As one would expect. After all, we are talking about secret government communications. No doubt they were written in cipher to avoid being readily understood should they have been intercepted.
In cipher? I see. So then, we could have never have hoped to understand the message anyway.
Nonsense, my dear fellow. It is quite a zero-pipe problem, I assure you. Yes,
So, what?
Well, that can't be a real word, can it? How funny. Wait, Iris, what did you just say? Oh, I just said asogi. Does that word mean something to you?
Mean something? Asogi, it's the name of my best friend.
What? But how? How do you know that name, Iris? I wrote it down during the trial before, when the message was playing on the music box.
She transcribed it on the fly? She really is a genius.
I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. But whatever I tried, the words just didn't seem to make any sense. That is, in English at least. Oh. It suddenly occurred to me, you see. There's more than one Morse code, not just the English variety. Various countries around the world have altered and added to Morse code to use in their own languages.
I don't believe it. Are you saying...
That's right. I've only actually seen a chart of Japanese Morse code once before. But I think it's based on the Iroha pangram, isn't it?
You mean to say that in Japanese Morse code, the message says isogi?
Yes, I think so. Sorry, but I don't remember all of the Japanese Morse code. Iris, would you let me see that?
Miss Sato, do you know it? Do you know Japanese Morse code?
Yes, I spent some time studying it. Because I'm quite sure Morse code will become ever more important for international communications.
Then might I recommend, my dear madame, that you focus your efforts on the English version.
Oh, shut up. Be that as it may, Iris, show me the message, please. Of course. But what could this possibly mean?
Whatever is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dots and dashes, it's made the color drain from Susato-san's face.
There's no doubt that this message is written in Japanese Morse code.
So the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications?
I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names.
4 names?
The first is Kei Asogi.
Kazuma Asogi. Why? Why was his name on that disc?
The second is A. Shin.
Shin? I don't recognize that name.
The third is T. Gregson.
Gregson?
Ah, it would seem Tobias Gregson is the third man on the list.
And what's his name doing in a secret government communication as well?
And the last name...
What's the matter, Mr. Sato?
It's just so strange, so unexpected. Oh, what is it, Susie? Don't keep us in suspense. The last name is J. Wilson. What?
Wilson?
John H. Wilson? You mean Daddy? It says only J. Wilson. I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then, after the 4 names, it reads, if I translate from Japanese, that is all 4. And that's the end of the message. Or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris.
I just can't believe it. Who would have ever thought that those discs contained Japanese Morse code? Not to mention a strange list of some disturbingly familiar names.
It would appear that this particular message is a communication of some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan.
So, Daddy could be in Japan then, where Susie and Bruno come from. Oh, well... no, it's not very likely, really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson, and there must be lots of J's among them.
Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine of the Imperial Yume University. But we can't tell Iris about that now. We just can't. This is so strange. Somehow, in solving the case of Mr. Windybank's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back a boulder at the mouth of a very dark cave.
I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave we shouldn't go wandering inside.
Honk.
Oh dear, the ship is going to set sail soon.
Yes, it seems so.
I'll sail on that steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change into a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan. You're really going then, Susie?
We wish you a safe passage, Miss Susato.
Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best.
Miss Sato, I'd hope to have you always at my side to guide me and support me.
Mr. Naruhodo!
Please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world.
I'm quite sure that I'll be back before you know it. Really, Susie? Oh, no, don't forget, Iris. I made you a promise I've yet to fulfill. A promise? About your manuscript. Ah.
Oh yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris. Mr. Naruhodo,
Yes?
do you remember the first time we met?
Yes, of course. On the SS Buria, when I was dragged out from that wardrobe still half asleep. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cabin with a Susato takedown.
You know very well I'm talking about after that. It's strange, but being thrown together as we were on that case, I somehow felt straight away that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy.
Miss Susato.
And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that. I'll be back soon. Farewell until then.
Bye. Oh, we get a cutscene.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end
Ooh.
of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least.
Hold on, I'll turn up the volume slightly.
Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey.
The cat? You guys brought the cat? Jeez.
Fate led me to becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead. Of course there will.
In the far future, yeah, trials and tribulations happens. It's true.
Whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around.
Allow me to play you out, Miss Susato.
After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
Wow. Can't believe I'm finally done. Oh god, never mind. Oh, yes. Mr. Naruhodo. Allow me to turn the music back down for a moment.
Yes, Mr. Sholmes?
I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue over the Special Express train, apparently.
Huh?
It caused such a commotion on the line, all the other trains had to wait at stations.
But really, we would never have made it to Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I explained everything and how it was all your fault.
Huh? What?
I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. But not to worry, my dear fellow. According to Miss Soto,
You love defending yourself in court.
That was her voice, whatever.
Huh? Huh? Huh?
It's all right. I'm perfectly happy to testify.
he really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See?
Mr. Sholmes,
Yes?
a word, if you don't mind.
Why, certainly. Any word you like. Bellow it out, my dear fellow. This is your chance.
Oh, yes, I love Runo's words, and I know just the one he'll use here.
Fuck! Then, I really must say,
Alright, it's credits now. Well, this game is such a breath of fresh air, man. I know it came out, like, a long time ago, but, still, in comparison... Oh, they're going to talk. In the following weeks, hundreds of music boxes arrived. Something was afoot. Though it transpired I'd ordered them all myself. So I advertised them for sale with, "Used by Mr. Sholmes to solve an important case." And the money I've earned, consulting detective work, pays a pittance by comparison. Thanks, Herlock.
I haven't slept a wink. This manuscript is due tomorrow now. When I'm this busy, Hurley usually cooks me breakfast. Well, cooks is an overstatement. For some dry toast and insipid coffee. I do miss Susie and her lovely Japanese breakfasts.
Oh, God.
Witness, your testimony is riddled with contradictions.
Exactly. Rarely do rare. Come on, coins hide under rare sticks themselves.
well, I don't know, son. Who's your father is an innocent man? Or are you calling my son a liar?
Witnesses, this courtroom is no place for your petty arguments.
I can't believe these guys came back. I mean, I can, but still. I remember him. Having delivered the Russian dancer to shore in Shanghai, I laid low on the steamship for a while. But last night I apprehended an extremely suspicious Japanese national on board. I've done nothing wrong. All I did was give Wagahai's offspring refuge in my pocket. A man brings some kittens on board and suddenly he's a hardened criminal. It's not fair. That's pretty funny. Scientific investigation will be the gold standard for policing in the new age. I dream of a world governed by the tenets of order and discipline, like a great clock, in fact, whose hundreds of parts mesh together in perfect unison. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have but 2 minutes and 37 seconds until my next appointment. I can't believe this guy never came up as a villain, but he's probably going to be in the next game.
The latest Ron's magazine is out, and I'm in it again. Whenever I see that one line she wrote now, standing ovation. Want to hear it? Humph. Not bad, I suppose, for an amateur. Glug, glug, glug. Her ladyship puts me to shame.
Good for you, Gregson. Definitely not suspicious. Hey.
Been visiting the old girl on a daily basis, of course. Joni, me old jailbird. Must say, battling with those bully staters every day has done wonders for the dicky peg. Managing rather well with the housework, too. Got this maid business taped up, I'd say. I hope the gossiping neighbours don't realise the man of the house is his own maid.
She got put in jail? I didn't even know that. I can't believe it. Gregson is the best, true. Hey, it's my favorite people.
My Rolly's back on the beat again. Oh, thanks to the Reaper.
There's nothing I enjoy more these days than hunting out small change in the gutter. I'm a better Bobby now, looking out for Londoners and dropped halfpennies on my lovely wife. Oh, Pat.
Oh, Rolly.
I'm still sleep deprived. In fact, I'm worse off than I ever was. Thanks a lot, Mr. Lawyer.
Looks like I'm going to be doing time for a bit now. But Iris comes every day for a natter, so it ain't too boring. She's always going on about all them cases what Sholmes is looking into. Criminal investigations are kind of interesting when you get into them.
Is she going to be the... Well, I guess it's going to be Iris. Whoops. Is the buddy for the next game if Sasato's not going to be here. But she might come back. That's what happened with Maya like 3 times, so... Oh, Graydon. What?
Yes, I renounced my upbringing and chose a life of sophisticated crime. But regrets, please.
Give it over, bruv. That ain't the Ash we used to know.
We got time and need a plan. The comeback of Milverton and Skulkin's milk run, right?
This guy's going to get executed, isn't he?
3 muscovats, it's milk in the neighborhood for all it's worth.
I mean, we're in old-timey Britain. Gina could just dive through the hole in the jail cell. It's funny. Oh, it's a ghost.
This past 6 months have been a time I shall remember forevermore. Painful goodbyes and wonderful encounters. I've come to realize that's what life is all about. Naruhodo-san, I promise, your assistant will return to you one day. But for now, I leave you with many memories and a heartfelt wish that life will treat you well.
Looking at that guy. The producer. It always ends on a photo. It's nice.
I want to be in the center of the frame, Mr. Naruhodo. Can you move over a bit?
I guess it would be forevermore, not forevermore. I don't know. I would have put it as all one word, but... Okay, now it's the credits. Now I can read chat. Okay. Did he stir his coffee with a pipe? Yes. Have I played Ghost Trick? No. But I'm planning to for the channel eventually. They're my favorite people too? Who are you talking about? It's very rare for a culprit to show up in the credits. That's true. Unless it's like the first guy. Because I think Mr. Scarfman McStudent. Here's the best part. Why, just all the characters walking by? Look, it's Giselle Brett. Remember her? Surely she'll never come up again. I love these idiots, so true. Let's see. A cat? Oh, Saseki, yeah. Why is a 9-year-old drinking coffee? Look, she's very advanced for her age, okay? I mean, she can drink coffee. Hey, look at that. Ace Attorney managed to make Geo laugh. Great. Remember the sailors? Like the one with the snake on his face? I do. Drop kick Herlock Sholmes. I just realized, like, when Iris called him Hurley, and I might have realized this earlier in the series, and that's why I hadn't said it until now. But in the original Japanese, he's just Sherlock Holmes, right? Oh, Kazuma stops there. Oh, that's so sad. Because, you know. Hey, the ballerina. What was I even saying? Oh, in the original Japanese, Iris must call him Shirley, right? And don't call me Shirley. Anyway. In the Lupin books in these games, it's Herlock, yeah. Why was a crying face held for review? I don't know. Is Sasato going to start walking with him now? Probably. Oh no, they're going to stop? She has to give him the sword. Arson looping literary universe. Crazy. Yeah, okay, now he's got the sword and they're going to be walking together. I would assume, right? Come on. I'm sure Japan won't be a major player in any particular World War 14 years from now or something. Yeah, it surely won't be important. She is. Okay, good. Oh, remember the guy who looks like the Penny?
Mr. Beppo.
There's Magnus. The only crime is murder, and perjury contempt sometimes is true. The chapter our boyfriend died. Yes, our collective boyfriend. Kazuma. Metopia Happy Wiggle. All right, Gina, time to get in a carriage. We've checked to make sure. We've checked 5 times to make sure it's not incendiary. Oh, look, and now Sholmes is gonna walk with. That's nice. You'll have to see it. Yeah, there they are again. God is gonna kill him so bad. Did Sholmes just Gmod a ragdoll through the floor? Yeah, he could. It's a secret power he has. The other guy's so confused. True. Is that Snake from Metal Gear Solid? I doubt it. Racism defeated. Yeah! She stole the smoke gun again. Winnie Bank died for nothing. Wah wah. How did this all come out from a trial with a dead pawnbroker? I mean, you never know. What'll happen? I hope Gina does come back. It'd be very unfortunate if she's like, I'm gonna reform, and then she just disappears forever. She's gonna shoot a firework? Please. Maybe we gotta wait till the end when the final picture is gone. Alright, now back to live chat. No, you see, you can't force a clip. Capcom. No, they did the little finger pointy. Chat's boyfriend for starting soon. Oh man. I'm glad we finished this. I've been waiting to be okay. So yeah, what I was gonna say before the cool credits started happening. This is such like a good Ace Attorney game, man. Shu Takumi doesn't miss. Oh, now we have the docks. Oh, that's so cool. The character designs, I think they're probably the best they've been in this game, honestly. Definitely the best in 3D we've had so far for Ace Attorney. But it might be the best in general. I don't know. I like all of them, pretty much. I don't think there was a single one that I didn't like, at least a little bit. There were some that I think could have used like an extra little bit of spice, like Ashley Graydon's kind of like whatever, and it was the same with like, what's his name from the stage car. A lot of the characters in the stage car case were a little bit nondescript, but it kind of works out because then something like happens to them, right? You know what I mean? Like they have some sort of turn in the middle of the trial, like Graydon having his coat start to be bled through and all that. Okay. Is there even a point in putting up a poll? You guys just all want Kazuma. We're gonna have like a little collection of great Ace Attorney characters at the bottom here. All right. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else saying anything, so it's time. Yeah. The freaking T-posing Buck Bumble is pretty funny. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I don't know when I'm going to get to doing Great Ace Attorney Resolve. I might do it as a YouTube series. But these streams are pretty fun, so we'll see. I do want to work on finishing some more stuff, though, because that was supposed to be the theme, right? We're going to finish Tears of the Kingdom and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and all that stuff. It only makes sense because the Switch's life cycle slowly coming to a close. We're going to finish all the Switch stuff. We need Ryunosuke cross-eyed down there next time. Well, I don't know. That's a little bit tougher because he barely ever shows up on screen other than in the courtrooms, and then he'd be a different perspective than everybody else. We'll see. Definitely Kazuma. If I stream Resolve, you will actually watch it. Well, okay. I've got one person at least saying, I haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom. I haven't fought the final boss, so that's like the only thing I haven't done. This is what happened when I played Breath of the Wild, too. Because it's like a foregone conclusion, but yeah. This sure was finish it, yep. I have to get up and stretch because I'm in pain from sitting for so long. Sakuna, Rice, and Ruin we're going to do every year. That was the idea. Anyway, thank you for watching. Whether you came from watching the YouTube videos and you watched it after the fact or you're in stream chat right now,